It'd be nice if somebody could write this up and so you could read it. Mrs. Mabel Rice Snip. Dear Madam, yours. Michael Rice was born in Germany, he said. Well, now they're not sure of that. He was real young when he went to the war. I don't know if he was 16 or not.
Well, I'm inclined to kind of believe that because Germany shipped a whole bunch of young fellows over here, the Hessians.
Oh, yeah.
And in some of the older papers, his name is spelled R-E-I-S, which is the German way of spelling rice. Here's your certificate for the DAR.
Mm-hmm. I wonder why I didn't put that in my book of the DAR things.
Well, this might be a copy.
I suppose. Here's the discharge. Oh, I didn't say anything about my grandpa and Grandma Gray. Yes, I did. I should have told in there about Grandma Gray's dad.
Well, what about Grandma Gray's dad?
My Grandma Gray was Ella Jane Doran, and her dad was Andrew Jackson Doran, and her mother, Lucy Doran. But Grandma was born in Riga, Michigan, and her dad had joined the Civil War. He came to Columbus, Ohio, and joined up. And I've got his discharge in here, in my book. He followed General Sherman, William Tecumseh Sherman, and they were on the march to Atlanta. He was in 7 battles, and I got all of them on this. Can you read all those, Wayton? Can you read the battles?
Mm-hmm.
Read the battles he was in, but he was with Sherman. He didn't go beyond Atlanta, though. He didn't march to the sea with him.
Hoover's Gap, Tennessee, June 26, 64. Resaca, Georgia, May 14th, 64.
New Hope Church.
Was that 1864?
Let's see,
Sure,
well,
1864. The war didn't end, it's 1865.
I can't make this out for sure. See, it's written over.
Oh, yeah.
But at Peachtree Creek,
Oh, yeah, we've been to these places.
July,
Let me see, Daddy. Let me see.
let's see. It
This
was
is
written
a-
on
I have this discharge. It's written on goat skin.
leather, see, so it's not real.
Hoover's Gap,
The dates are
June 26th. Well, and then we have stopped at this place. It's just a little, is that a schoolhouse or a church?
Church.
A little church. Resaca, Georgia, May 14th of 1864. Peachtree Creek, Georgia, July of 1864. Chickamauga, Georgia, September the 19th through the 21st of 1863. New Hope Church, Georgia, now we've been to all of these places, was June the 30th, 1864. The Siege of Atlanta, August of 1864, and Jonesboro, Georgia, September the 1st of 1864. And he was wounded then, wasn't he?
he had a
Bullet wound.
bullet in his liver
Gosh.
or kidney or something like that, which caused his death. He died when he was 37 years old.
35.
35.
I think so. You know? And we have looked up this Captain Fetter. He was in something, that was his captain. This signed his discharge. But he was in something out through, clear out west, remember? We saw
Yeah, he and his men were all killed.
Andrew Jackson Dorn. He was born in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania. 30 years of age, Wayne. 35. Oh, it's telling how tall he is. 5 feet 10 inches is his height. Sandy complexion with blue eyes and brown hair, it says. I thought maybe he was redheaded because Grandma Gray was redheaded, my grandma. This discharge was signed at Louisville, Kentucky, the first day of September of 1865. Very good was his character, it says. Isaac, somebody here signed it. Part of it's kind of... But somebody had carried this in their pocket or in an envelope, and it's all had been folded, so it's kind of in bad shape.
You see, this Jonesboro probably was on the march to the sea, you know.
Yeah, that was farther south. That's south of Atlanta, Jonesboro.
And you know how
Well, we
people-
stopped there. That's where that stuff is about Gone with the Wind.
But you know how everybody is. Well, I put enough on there. He may have told them that they been to other places and said, "Oh, we got enough up there." You know how it might be.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we have visited Grandpa Gray's. Well, we visited with some of the people, and they wanted us to come back. We were down there in York County, Pennsylvania one time, and we visited some of their Grandpa Gray's people's graves. Yeah, I've got quite a few pictures of those. We've been to lots of cemeteries. Well, better shut it off now, I think. Okay. Well. There's our son and our daughter.
These books have been around. They get some information and put it in maybe in the wrong place. They should be taken apart and edited properly.
Well, he can't stay that long to help you get all that done.
No, well,
I want to read some of this stuff here. Wait and hey, turn that down. This is... White House, March the 20th, 1892. I had a letter, some places what I was thinking about was what she had written to Andrew Jackson when he was in the war. I had some letters. Here's my Grandpa and Grandma Gray's wedding picture. We think that is what it is, I'm pretty sure.
no, I think.
Oh, now here. Oh, here's a letter that Grandma Gray's mother had written to her. Dear daughter Ella. They, instead of a capital I for I, they just wrote an I like this. But at least they could write. I promised to write to you, but have, she's got a cold. Due to sinus, I think she says. Came home here, came home. I have not felt well since. I was to Toledo. It is awful warm. I can't hardly stand it. I looked for you last Sunday, but you didn't come. I have not. Hasn't had a letter since you went. This is her writing, but at least she could write. Anyway, she signed it. It says, no, Ella, if you don't come Sunday, write soon. Good night. She's got K-N-I-G-H-T. I am your mother. I am your mother to her daughter, Ella Doran. Now she's got a D-O-R-A-N here instead of D-O-R-E-N. See, some of them are E-N and A-N. Doran.
Back in those days, they used what they called phonetic spelling, however it sounds.
Yeah, I think so. Well, anyway.
Few of them went beyond about the 4th or 5th grade, if that.
Well, I think it's lucky she could write. Grandma Gray could write. Now, Grandpa Gray couldn't write. So I don't have an idea that they made him go to school.
No.
You had that many kids, well, you had to pay, to so much for kids to go to school way back. And that's a letter from,
Here's the spelling and lack of punctuation is as in the original.
well, that's what
handwritten
you
letter.
wrote that.
Huh?
I think you wrote that.
Yeah, but I'm saying that,
Yeah, that was a letter about from William Dorn, I think. Yeah, William Dorn was a brother to Grandpa Dorn. They had a big family, and one time some woman, did she email us or call here? And I haven't heard from that woman for years, and wait.
probably passed on by now.
Oh, no, my lord, she was just some kid.
Oh,
I don't think so. But this here, I think, was Simon B. Rice. Well, that was Sim Rice up there. Sim Rice wrote this, and he could have wrote better than that. But see, it's a copy of it. I give you the sons and daughters of Michael Rice. I am a son of John Rice, and your father is a son of Andrew Rice. You, something about, note that they are brothers, and my brothers, oh, I don't know what that is. My mother's, oh Lord, so much of it, see, it's so many been different copies.
here, they don't have a complete, I got George Britton Middleton, but he had another name too, McClellan.
Yeah, but he never went by that. He always signed George B. Middleton.
Well, I know, it's another story. During the wars, there was a lot of hero worship. And George Britton McClellan, see, was in the news about the time he was born. So.
Yeah, born 1863, Grandpa was. June the 14th on Flag Day. He was 10 years older than Grandma Middleton. Isn't that something? And she died first, several years first. She died before she was 50 years old, Grandma Middleton did. And Grandpa Middleton.
Yeah, a lot of people died young that nowadays they could take a pill or two. And,
Straighten him right out, wouldn't it? Okay. Here's when Lydia Rice died. Jacob or Mrs. Lydia Rice. She was the widow of Jacob Rice, wife of Jacob Rice, who resides near Caledonia in Morrow County. Departed this life on Monday last in the 79th year, I believe it is, of her age, but that's all screwed up when they copied it, looks like. And I think it certainly must have been better print than that. Let's see. They had been married. She had been married to her husband, Jacob Rice, nearly, looks like 64 years, and for about 63 years they lived where Mr. Rice died. Oh, I can't, some of this is awful, the printing.
here's about your grandma's,
Grandma who?
well, Doran or whatever, Aunt Ella's possessions. Among Aunt Ella's possessions was a picture of her father in uniform, a good-looking fellow with a felt
Oh
campaign
yeah, you
hat.
wrote that, I think.
Was, well, this was what she told me, that one side turned up.
Well, you remembered the picture. You remembered it.
remember the picture.
Yeah, sure. I think I did too up here. But you know that Dad's brother got a lot of that stuff, and
As stated before, his death occurred January 21st, 1868 at Riga, Michigan, but diligent search has not located his grave. A check of cemetery records reveals a lot 359 sold to a Jacob Dorn, but there is no record of Jacob Dorn's death in Lenawee County.
that was spelled to a JAS, and that would have been,
Well, we went to the courthouse and found it. Found this was sold to a Jacob Doran.
no, when we checked at Riga, we went there, but we went into that.
This death certificate. Doran, Jackson, male, color not given, married, place of death, town of Riga.
Mm-hmm.
Then down here's the cause of death, typhoid fever. Well, that wasn't right. Birthplace, Wayne County, Ohio. That's not right. He was born in Pittsburgh. So see, even though they're legal records,
Yeah, they're not legal.
they're not, they're all screwed
Stephen, here is, would you like this? Here's Patricia D. Arnold in memory, late residence, entered into rest December the 1st, 1967, and then it says Monday, December the 4th, 1967 at 10:30 a.m. at Caledonia. Services by Reverend D.T. Wood. Walter Trimmer was the organist. Final resting place, Caledonia Cemetery, Caledonia, Ohio. That whole page is...
They've got Grandma Arnold's place of birth. They said it was western town over here. I don't think she ever heard the town.
Grandma Arnold's?
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you find it in there?
No, we've got it somewhere. We got a couple of books,
Yeah, your
found
book. Should be in your book, not
but
mine.
I think they said Paul said she was born in Van Wert, Ohio, and they claimed she was part Indian, which she
No,
was
that
not.
wasn't your grandmother at all. You're talking about your mother's mother, your grandmother's mother.
Yeah, well, yes.
Yeah, it's not Grandma Arnold.
Well, but Grandma Arnold, they had her as having been born in Van Wert, Ohio. And I don't think she was ever west of...
You know, why don't you get your book? I don't think that's
Well,
right. I think
no,
that's,
too many books.
well, you don't, that's where you'd find that in there. That, I don't think that that was that way. And you're talking about the woman we got the gravestone for.
I'm talking
Elizabeth
about
Line.
the woman that Paul made out the death certificate for. My grandmother, he said she was born in Van Wert, Ohio. And I don't think she's ever west of Caledonia.
What's that, on the death certificate?
Yeah.
No, I don't think. Well, I don't want to argue with it anymore, but I think that it's talking about, you're talking about Elizabeth Leinert. That they said she's part Indian. Your Uncle Earl was that, I think, did that stuff.
Well,
Something anyway. Well, of course,
but they had one
all
screwed
that's
up
on that
anyhow.
stuff is what people
But
tell us. And
anyhow-
if they don't know what they're talking about, the people that write it out can't change it.
What I'm trying to tell you, that kind of stuff becomes a legal
Well,
document.
sure, well, I know that,
But it's of no,
okay, here. Now, do you want Daddy to tell you anything about his people?
I can't talk.
Or do you can get your books and he can read it?
It's so hard to talk.
We can do that tomorrow, Stephen. This is about enough. I better get up and do my things here.